Welcome to Thought Crime and Keto Crime, where Tracy does the sleuthing so you don't have to.
Everyone, welcome to Thought Crime and Keto and Crime. Today I have my good friend, comedian Michelle Muldoon. We're going to be discussing the Janet March case. For those of you that watched part one where I did the overview of the case, now we're going to get into some high-class chat about it.
High-class chat. Oh, good. You've already talked about an overview of the case. Well, those are my notes, are a lot about what happened.
First of all, Michelle, tell my audience who you are.
Oh, hi, I'm Michelle Muldoon. I'm
Hi.
Tracy's friend, sometimes comedian, you know.
She's actually very funny. She doesn't give herself enough credit. But
in
her day job, because we both have day jobs,
yes.
She's a interpreter for the hearing impaired, correct?
I am. I'm a sign language interpreter. I am not doing any of that right now.
No. Every time I see them come up on the news where they've always got the interpreters, I'm like, I wish that was Michelle.
I know. I don't. I'm glad it's not me. It's too much. It's like I'd be so afraid I was gonna fuck it up. And then they're all like, we can trace back this terrible outbreak to this one specific terrible interpreter that got on the news. News at 11. Anyway, I have actual nightmares about that. So let's move on.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry. But okay, yeah, Janet March case.
Janet March case.
Let's dive into it.
Yes. So I was, I guess, like 8 when this happened.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember a whole lot of it, like, while it was happening.
I don't either. It's not one that I was real familiar with, and having lived in Nashville almost 20 years now, I was surprised I didn't know about it. But
which seems kind of crazy that the both of us would have missed this in the aftermath, because the whole thing, I mean, it took 10 years to wrap it up, even.
Yeah, and it's not solved. They've never found a body that I know of.
Well,
unless you have information, I don't.
They have not found a body.
Right.
However, how much of the case have we gone over already? A basic overview?
Yes, just a basic overview. When it happened, the controversy about her and Perry met. Chicago, him becoming a lawyer, him kind of mooching off her parents.
Yes. Okay. Great.
And then he got dismissed from Bass, Berry, Sims, to whom I have delivered many packages when I was a courier.
No kidding. That's called a personal connection.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Like, for sending really sexually explicit letters to a paralegal.
Yeah, like I read some of them and I'm like,
oh, I did not, and because I can't, not good though. Let's tell me about it.
They're not, I wouldn't call them sexy, I would call them just creepy. I mean, it was like
such a thin line. Yeah, there's a fine line between sexy and creepy.
Stuff like, I can't wait to pleasure you, and I want my tongue in places, and just like, ew.
Oh, God.
And he did them anonymously, so like this paralegal had no idea who they were even coming from.
Apparently he didn't do it that anonymously, because it seems like they didn't have a hard time figuring out that it was him.
No.
Here's the thing. It sounds like from the very start, Perry March is a colossal wang, and it just really not anywhere near as smart as he seems to think that he is.
No, and I think that went back to his dad, because his dad was an interesting character.
Oh my, Arthur.
Arthur, not much on his mom that I could find.
No, I didn't hear anything about his mom.
But she had passed away, I think, when he was a teenager or something. But his father, Arthur, was kind of a know-it-all, and I think that's where he got it.
And literally, probably the reason that he ended up being convicted was because his dad also can't keep his fucking mouth shut.
Exactly. I'm like, you're in Mexico. You're living in Mexico. You're living in a foreign country. How hard is it just to keep your mouth shut?
How hard is it just to keep your mouth shut?
Yeah.
They didn't have a body. This is the thing. It's infuriating. You are an attorney, sir.
Mm-hmm.
You should
Don't
know
talk
better
to
than that. Oh my gosh.
But he loved to run his mouth, and that was
That was his problem.
yeah, he ran it to
Well, that was his
everybody.
biggest problem. The thing is, if you look at any of his interviews that he gave,
Mhm.
he was not winning any Emmys for those.
No.
No, he was looking back on that, it's clear that he knows what happened to her and that he's trying to like put the scent off of himself.
My first indication is when they, what I've researched, they were pretty atypical articles and stuff. They didn't really put forth an opinion. They were actually pretty, generic as, media used to be. Now most media has a spin to it, but these didn't.
Sure.
And they were talking about how the calls he made to his dad, his brother, her parents the night that she supposedly walked out and said she would be gone for 12 days.
For 12 days, which is a
odd number.
It's a
not an odd number. It's actually an even number, but it's odd.
Number, but it's a weird number.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's like you're a bad liar.
Mm-hmm.
He's putting too much detail into his lie.
Exactly. And just the calls to her parents and just immediately letting them know that she was gone. Had they seen her? It's like he was almost too concerned, if that makes sense. Like,
right. And she left a to-do list.
Yeah, of like chores, because evidently the majority of their fights was because he sat on his duff and didn't do anything around the house.
Which honestly, that's probably true.
Yeah. But honestly, they lived in Forest Hills. They could have hired a housekeeper.
In a 5,000 square foot house. And Forest Hills, I think, for people who don't know, if there was like a Yelp review for Forest Hills, it would have $4 signs next to it.
Yeah. I mean, to put it in proper context, Dr. Witherspoon, Reese Witherspoon's father, that's where they lived before. Yeah. He's I think, cardiac surgeon. Her mom was a professor at Vanderbilt University. Big money.
Also $4 sign jobs.
Yes.
So live in the $4 sign neighborhood.
So Michelle and I are not living in Forest Hills.
We are sure not, no.
I've delivered food to houses in Forest Hill.
How was it?
Good, and they tip real well. I mean,
well, that's good. I feel like it could go either way in a $4 signs neighborhood where they tip either really well or not at all.
Best tip I ever got was when I was delivering in Beverly Hills. It's when I was in LA for comedy, and my courier job let me pick up some shifts there, and I delivered to a huge house off of Mulholland Drive, like the famous curvy, where the Hollywood Hills, and had no idea who the house belonged to. The housekeeper came to the door and said, "Oh," and he said, "Bring everything in. He just doesn't like stuff placed against his wall, like deliveries," because it was a huge house. And it was like movie posters everywhere. I'm like, this dude's a producer, and I wish I could figure out who it was. But anyway, I put it all down and put it all out, and then she handed me $150 in cash, just like nothing. When I walked out. But that's like $15 to that.
I was gonna say, in Nashville money, that's like it's like worth a third of that. What's the exchange rate on LA money to Nashville money?
Probably about 10 times.
10 times. Okay. Good question. So the babysitter says that the day that Janet disappears, she's at the computer all day. Mm-hmm. I guess presumably typing up this to-do list. Wink, wink.
Wink.
Really what she was probably doing was figuring out that her husband was a sexual harassment dynamo.
Interesting you should say that, because later on, I believe it was either not her sister, but her friend, because I don't think but a friend of hers that were kind of helping her around the house said that they had found a manila envelope the day before she disappeared.
Let me find. Yes, that with her
name on it.
Name and address on it.
That had all the information from the Bass-Berry Sims paralegal incident inside of it. Yes.
So theoretically, she had learned just the day before she quote unquote walked out that even more so let's be honest, she already knew that her husband was a dick, but
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
but now she's got confirmation. And probably that he's a different sort of dick than she was thinking this whole time, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
We have to think
So-
about. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go
No,
ahead.
just thinking, people will wonder why would she put up with it? Well, first of all, it was the 90s. Not as hard, not as
Uh-huh.
easy to walk out and get a divorce at that time. Easier than it was in the 50s, but not quite where
Right,
we are now.
sure.
But she also came from a very wealthy Jewish family. That family was very important. So
Mhm.
she had 2 kids. She worked from home as a children's
Right.
book illustrator. She kind of had it made in the shade in one regard. So I don't think she was willing to shake it up until maybe that was the breaking point where she
That I would.
Yeah.
There are a lot of reasons that people stay in relationships. Reportedly, they were fighting all the time.
yeah.
But like, if you're just fighting all the time, like you said, you've got 2 kids.
Mhm.
You're trying to make it work, thinking something. If only this happens, then everything will be fine. But
Mhm.
no, that would be the breaking point for me.
Oh yeah. My breaking point would probably come a lot quicker than.
I mean, I think
Yeah, I think yours would
let's be
too.
honest.
Honestly, yeah.
It would, but if I just understand why that would be that seems like a very obvious straw there.
There'd be a night where I'd have one too many glasses of wine, and they'd end up out in the yard or something. With me pointing a gun at them or something.
Well, and then we would do a very different kind of about,
Yeah.
this would be a very different story, I suppose, if you were Janet March, wouldn't it?
It would probably be
It would have been the death. Would have been the death of Perry March at the hands of his scorned wife, Tracy Barclay. Which I don't know. That'd be fun. We'll put a pin in that.
I'm so sorry.
I like it. No, put a pin in that. I like it. So finally, 2 weeks after she's gone, Perry March decides that he's going to report her missing to the police. Because remember, she told him she was going to be gone for 12 days.
And her parents wanted to report her missing after like 3 days, but he said, let's give her the 12 days she gave us.
Well, and you know what? And people are mad at her parents for that, but like, at this point, they have no reason to like distrust him, I mean, they have no reason to think that he has murdered her, certainly.
No. Perry is a like associate attorney or maybe even a junior partner at at her father's law firm. So the father works with him every day.
They have no reason to think that. And also I feel like everybody knew that they were fighting a lot and that they were having marital problems. And so it's like, there's a lot of plausible deniability at that point where I was like, well, yeah, things were bad. Okay, but so then she misses her oldest son's birthday party that she had planned.
Yep.
And sent invitations to, and then misses his first day of school.
And the son,
I think,
tells the teacher, I didn't even get to say goodbye to my mom, which was just heartbreaking.
Oh, God. I actually know somebody who went to school with him.
Wow. The son?
Like yeah. It was a weird time, it sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I paid a lot of attention in my notes to this timeline because it's so banana pants. Okay. So she goes missing, or quote unquote walks out. She goes missing for 12 days. At 14 days, the police are informed that she's gone and has been gone for 14 days and that she's missed her kid's first day of school, because it's August 96.
Right.
So she's missed his first day of school and his birthday party that she planned. Okay. So then 9 days after that, what is 14 plus 9?
That is
23. It's 23
days.
So just over 3 weeks, so that after she's been gone, they find her car backed into a parking spot at an apartment complex. And all of her shit is in the car, including her passport and stuff.
Right.
And they think the scene looks staged.
Well, yeah. I mean, why would somebody that was leaving for 12-day vacation leave her?
Not bring all their shit with them.
Yeah.
Also,
And also, her friends said that she was a terrible
she was a
driver.
terrible driver. That's what I was about to
That's
say.
like me. If my car was found backed in perfectly
But like,
and I'm
foul
missing,
play.
my
Something's
wife
afoot.
did it because she is the good driver that backs in everywhere. I would never even attempt to back in.
You heard it here first, y'all. If we ever find Tracy ever goes missing and her car is backed in somewhere, the wife did it. So then, at this point, the police are like, "Hold up, I think this might be murder." Like it took them that long.
That long.
And
She just disappeared. She just walked like highway to heaven, just walked down the road and disappeared.
Right.
And everybody thought that was okay.
I know, but also this is 1996 at a $4 sign neighborhood.
Okay, true.
So
True. There's no crimes happening there.
there's no crimes happening
except
there.
white collar variety.
Right.
Yeah.
So then the police, in their continued infinite wisdom in this situation, tell Perry March that they are interested in the hard drive of the computer at the house.
Mm-hmm.
I said, we need that hard drive. So then they search the house after that. And wouldn't you know, the hard drive has been removed from the computer.
Who'd have
Who would
thunk
have
it?
thought that something like that could have happened? Who
Just
would have?
gone. Not even wiped. Just gone.
Not even wiped. Just gone. Just gone. So at this point, Perry is on television all the time. He cannot stay off of television.
Mm-hmm.
And he's doing like bad dramatic reenactments of what he thinks a sad
Happened.
husband, a sad bewildered husband is supposed to look like in an interview.
Mm-hmm. There was a Tennessean reporter that actually they interviewed on one of the documentaries I was able to watch that said that she was sitting there thinking the whole time, dude, shut up. No one wants to hear this.
I know. I think that's what everyone thought the whole time, and probably what his poor dead wife thought too.
Yeah.
Like, dude, just shut up. So I actually just I watched Dominic Dunn's Power, Privilege, and Justice about this. It was on YouTube.
Mm-hmm. I saw that one too.
I did not want to pay money
No.
to watch a crime documentary.
No.
Okay.
That's why this one's always free, folks. Always free.
So he's just like on TV over here and on TV over there. And he won't stop talking about, we don't even know what happened. She just left. It's all fine.
Mm-hmm.
He's protesting too much. So then 3 weeks into the investigation, right, which is 5 weeks that she's been gone, he just fucks off to Chicago with the kids.
Yeah. Just bye.
Like an innocent person does.
Yeah, just ran with the hard drive, probably.
Probably. Where do you think he kept the hard drive?
I don't know. I don't know. Probably in the trunk of his car, as stupid as he was. I mean, I have no idea. I don't think they ever found the hard drive, but
No, I hadn't heard that they. I feel like if they had found the hard drive, there would have been more.
yeah, we would have had no more of the story. Because everything we know is still conjecture. It's still mainly based on the word of the author, his confession. That's all we know.
I believe it. I believe it.
I do too. I mean,
I do too.
he had no reason to lie. He was going to prison. I mean,
so all that stuff about being forced out of the law firm, this is like about when we find that out, right? Or like when the police find that out.
And his father-in-law, who had no idea when he hired him at his law firm. I find that rich people very conveniently just sweep things under the rug.
Or just like don't ask any follow-up questions. How many like $7 an hour jobs have you had to take a drug test for? And like,
I know.
And like $300,000 a year jobs, they're like, no, just don't tell me anything. It's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, you stopped working at your other law firm? No follow-up questions.
And
Come on.
In context, Bass, Berry & Sims is one of the most prestigious law firms in the country. They handle, so people just don't leave Bass, Berry & Sims unless they move up to a higher position.
Or start sending
sexually
horribly explicit letters to paralegals.
Right.
It's kind of fucked up. I was glad that they law firm actually fired him
Me too.
instead of firing her
Yeah, it shows that they
in
weren't wanting
1996.
to cover it, and they actually like helped with the agreement, so to speak. That he signed to pay her $25,000.
Which seems like not enough thousands of dollars.
No, but you have to think of it's 1990s money. That's probably the
Okay, well,
equivalent
how
of
much
40,000, which still
it's still not enough dollars.
true.
A prestigious law firm like that's crazy. But I digress.
But they still kind of swept it under the rug. They fired him and they made him sign that and pay her, and then kind of no one
Mhm.
pressed charges. So maybe they did kind of sweep it under the rug in a way, but they did stand up for her, which is good.
Which is like more than
A lot of people would
a
do.
lot of people get. Okay, so then 2 months after she's disappeared, her parents hold a memorial
Mhm.
for her, realizing that at that point the likelihood that she's still alive is low.
Yep.
Perry, in his infinite, totally not guilty wisdom, says publicly to anyone who will listen that it's too soon to have a memorial, and so he and the kids do not show up.
Which was tacky if nothing else.
At the very least, it was very tacky, and I really, really feel for those kids
Me too.
who didn't have that opportunity for that memorial with him.
Yeah. I mean, their mom was just gone. They didn't even get a chance to say goodbye to
Well,
her.
right. So then, after he doesn't show up to the memorial, he fucks off to Mexico with the kids.
To his father's house
Yes, enter Arthur March.
again.
Allegedly ex-military. Everybody that talked about him was like, he claimed that he was a Green Beret.
Hey. No one ever saw proof of that.
I guess maybe he had a Green Beret.
Yeah. I got a little red one.
and like a gun safe.
Yeah, possibly. But supposedly he was a caretaker for a wealthy family in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
So had a house on their property, and that's where Perry and the kids ended up.
Yes, in a place outside of Guadalajara, in like a resort town, it sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
So, from Mexico, Perry grows this terrible goatee, and it keeps on giving interviews. It's bad. Have you seen the goatee?
Practices law, some sort of illegal, sort of paraprofessional something in Mexico. Which
I'm gonna say like pseudo legal. We'll say sub legal, maybe.
Yeah.
Practices sub law. I don't know. I can't imagine
what he was doing. Contracts, maybe. I don't know. Something.
Anyway. Have you seen the goatee though? Did you see the goatee?
Yeah, that was bad.
The Mexico goatee.
That's deserving of at least part of his prison sentence, if nothing.
Right. I mean, it's like he thought he was going to join the Backstreet Boys or something. It was not. I'm just saying, an innocent man doesn't grow that. I guess it was 90s, but whatever. So, he remarries a real hottie.
Yeah, who had 3
Carmen,
kids.
Who had 3 kids, and then they have one together.
So now we're up to 6 kids.
That's how many people are on a baseball team?
7, 8. In Arthur, they had exactly a baseball team there.
Not exactly a baseball. I knew you would know. I don't know. I should have asked you about a softball team.
I was very good, bitch.
I'm right. I'm just saying. I'm sorry. That was insensitive of me to ask you about baseball instead of softball. I mean to
field hockey and softball.
I meant to ask you about baseball instead of softball. Yeah. I should have. That was insensitive. And I stand by the question.
Some people I knew were still surprised when I came out of the closet, even though I played softball and field hockey. I'm like,
well, so somehow now we're in May 2000. Mm-hmm. I guess he's just
ran under the radar,
living his life in Mexico. Unclear how long he kept the goatee.
Yeah,
I know that's the hard-hitting info that your listeners want, but I don't have any more information about the goatee.
Clearly, if Michelle had been an investigator on that case, that would have been like at least number 3 on her list.
Do you know how in like movies when they do like a timeline, have you ever seen like Sliding Doors?
Mm-hmm.
Where she changes her hair in one of the timelines so that it's like easier to remember.
Yeah.
In the like movie adaptation of this, you would have to have
Different personifications
different
of the
facial
beard.
hair. Because the timeline goes on for so long,
I know. It's 10 years, and
then more.
it's not even partially resolved. I mean, half of it in that they're in prison, but
Right.
where's her body? What did you actually do to her?
Well, yeah.
You're serving 56 years. You can tell us now.
Yeah, right. Well, we're skipping ahead to the
Sorry.
to
Well,
the
they've
end
heard
of the
part
story.
1. They know.
Well, that's fine. I still
I'm sorry.
want to talk about it. No, it's
I'm
all right.
sorry.
Somehow we're in May 2000.
Yeah.
My next note goes to May 2000, which was 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm. That's weird.
So sit with that for a moment. That was not 10 years ago. That was 20 years ago. So a judge decides that Carolyn and Larry Levine, Janet's parents,
right,
can have custody of the kids.
Right.
So they go to Mexico.
Well, he didn't show up for the trials. I mean, they sued for custody.
Right,
He just didn't show up.
Right. So they were granted custody of the children. So then the parents, Carolyn and Larry Levine, go to Mexico, grab the kids from school, and fly them back to Nashville.
Right.
Perry is pissed.
As normally a parent would be, I suppose.
As normally a parent would be. So custody battle ensues, and then they have to return the kids to Mexico.
And then they sue him for wrongful death.
Sue him for wrongful death. And they win.
Several $1 million settlement.
Yes.
Can't remember the exact number, but it was a lot.
It was like, write it down. I took
the largest wrongful death case awarded by a Tennessee court at that time. At that time,
yes. Okay, so now, I don't know. So now I jump forward to summer of 2004. And my notes here say, summer 2004, full psychopath Perry March sends a magazine photo to the Nashville DA.
Mm-hmm. Saying that she was seen at the Olympic Games in Greece. Mm-hmm. And none of the women in the picture look like her.
She's like, no, it's that one. She looks different in Greece. It's the Mediterranean diet. You look different.
It's that one.
Yeah, it's the Mediterranean free spirit. It makes you look different. It makes you look like a different person.
Why did he even do that?
Because he can't stop.
That's what I'm saying. It was over. The Nashville courts reversed the $1 million judgment. He didn't have to pay it.
Yes.
In all essence, the investigation had ground to a stop. Keep your mouth shut.
They had no evidence. If he had just zipped it, it would have been over.
Yeah.
It would have been over. And he would have lived in Mexico with his hot wife and all their baseball team of kids.
And Arthur.
And Arthur, who owns a Green Beret.
And they could play baseball.
They could play baseball, and Mexico in paradise forever.
Yep.
But no. He was like, I don't know if the video of this goes anywhere, but for those listening I'm miming clipping a picture out of a magazine.
We're going to be the full videos on YouTube. So.
Oh, good. And he's going.
And then the audio will go to my podcast.
He says, I have an idea. Clip, 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 clip. I'm going to just send this to the DA.
Yeah.
To really get him off my scent.
But he shaved the beard, so maybe he thought that would convince them.
Yeah, maybe. They were like, well, he doesn't look like a supervillain anymore.
And she sort of resembles Janet, this one, on a, yeah, sort of.
If I had my glasses off, if I took my glasses off, I'd be like, oh my gosh, there she is. She's in Grease.
She's alive.
Or if I'd like touched my glasses and so there were like fingerprints on them,
Mm-hmm.
then I'd be like, he's an innocent man.
Yep.
So at this point, the DA indicts Perry March for murder and arranges for his extradition, despite the evidence being thin,
Real.
tenuous.
And again, his mouth. If he could have just sat and remained silent like most people that are accused of murder and let
So
his
this
lawyers work on it.
When it really goes off the rails for me. This is the point when this changes from just like a normal story to like full throttle white knuckle batshittery.
Mm-hmm.
So it says, noted dumbass Perry won't shut his fucking mouth.
Yep.
He will not do it. So he becomes friends with one Russell Nathaniel Ferris, noted East Nashville criminal.
He had to be the only, now this is going to be awful, but I think he was probably the only like white criminal in East Nashville at that
100%. Well, actually, what are we talking? 2004? Maybe not.
Yeah, maybe not.
Well, whatever. You're not necessarily wrong. Okay, so
He's like the most redneck looking man I've ever seen in my life.
he is. He's got that like
Nashville.
wavy question mark
Mark,
tattoo on his throat.
Yeah. And what Perry didn't know is that he was a lifelong pigeon, that he liked to commit crimes and then get other people to talk to him and then
tell people about it.
Yeah.
Police people.
Yeah.
So he's in there, I guess, on his own like attempted murder charge or something. Perry becomes friends with Russell Nathaniel the Riddler Ferris. And he's like, this guy seems trustworthy. I'm gonna ask him to kill my in-laws. Now we have evidence of this.
Yeah, because he told everyone.
Because Ferris agrees to essentially get wired in jail. They're not in the same cell. They're in cells next to each other. And Ferris is like, yeah, I would love to record this.
Not to mention, you probably have Jerome and, I don't know, Tom in the next
everyone else
listening.
has ears. It's not... Yes, also everyone else has ears. But, like, so he wears his wire, and there's audio. There's audio of Perry not only asking this dude to murder poor Carolyn and Larry, who have done nothing this whole time but like try to do what's best for their grandchildren and figure out what happened to their daughter. And not only that, he's like, also check out Arturo in Mexico. He's got your back. I keep calling him Arturo. I think it's just Arthur.
It's Arthur. But you can Adi Alejandro.
I mean, I'm just saying, throw a Hawaiian shirt on him, Arturo. He's like, also Arthur March. That's ArthurMarch. He lives just outside his address. He's like, my dad's also going to. He'll keep you after it's done.
An alias, but you need an alias.
Oh, but you need an alias. And he was, what was it? Givens?
Billy Givens?
Billy Givens. It's Billy Givens. And he's like, great, sounds definitely like a real name.
Right.
I love it. So we got audio of him doing this and then offering his dad's like shelter and getaway.
Not to mention that his house is owned by whomever he works for, and he's just offering to harbor a criminal.
I did not know that. And that, of course it was.
He was a caretaker.
Of course he was a caretaker of someone else's home and just kept inviting people to come live there. Of course he did. I mean, do we think that Arthur had like a frontal lobe injury or something? Because he also made bad choices the whole way. From start to finish. The cops are like, I think we're ready to do some subterfuge and not just pre-tell Perry March what we're about to do, so that he can cover up his tracks. So they pretend like Ferris is getting out on bond and then send him to a different county jail, so that Perry thinks that
he's out,
that Ferris is out and is doing the deed,
and went immediately to Forest Hills to kill the Levins.
Yes. Yep. Was on his way to Forest Hills to kill the Levines. Okay. So, and then he starts calling Arthur a bunch.
I feel like Billy Glivens, since he's going by this alias, would have really, if he had have gone to Forest Hill, would have really stood out there.
Yeah.
Even if he had attempted to, to actually kill the Levines.
So my next note says Arthur runs his goddamn mouth like a fucking idiot and tries to mansplain murder.
Yeah. Well, the thing about it is they actually had Billy call Arthur and say that the deed has been done.
Well, right. But
tell him, I'm in Houston on my way to Mexico.
Yes. Before that though, he calls Arthur and Arthur's like, here's what you got to do.
Oh yeah. Told him how to get away with it.
And like, what a stupid.
Wear surgical gloves and never take them off. That one phrase just sticks out to me because he told him where.
Yes, mine too. Me too. I did also notice that and was like, just never take
them off. I love these gloves. They're part of me now.
So anyway, as a result of that, both Arthur and Perry are charged with conspiracy to commit murder.
And when Billy, quote unquote, makes arrangements for Arthur to pick him up at the Guadalajara airport, there is a FBI agent there instead, because now that all this has happened via phone, they're now into federal crime territory.
Sure. Which seems obvious, but so many things have seemed obvious this whole time that didn't happen. So it's been 10 years now. This is 2006. It's been 10 years since her initial disappearance. Arthur sings like a beautiful bird. Yes,
he does. He just, I know I'm going to prison, but please, can you make it a lesser sentence and maybe not such a bad prison?
Fully throws his own child under the bus.
And tells us what happened.
Which I tend to believe him at this point. I suppose we don't have any other evidence necessarily to support his statement, but he thought that he was going to get 18 months instead of a long time in exchange for this, and I just feel like if you're that willing to throw your own kid under the bus, like, why would he be lying? You know, like, why would you lie and then still like implicate your kid, you know? So according to him, Janet has died in a quote unquote accident. He's very adamant that Perry never said he killed her.
Right. But the thing of it is, according to Arthur now, allegedly,
yes,
they started arguing about the Hope Asbury Sims thing, and she came at him physically, supposedly, and he accidentally picks up a wrench and hits her with it.
There was not. I'm sorry. I find it hard to believe that there was a wrench anywhere in that house.
They never fixed anything.
No, anywhere in that house, much less easily accessible
In the inner sanctum of the house.
in the inner. Yeah, like were they fighting in one of the garages?
If you really wanted to make it a accident, then okay, it got physical and he hit her with his hand, and it did whatever.
Yet another
Something
reason.
more believable.
Yet another reason why I think that he's telling the truth in this statement.
Right.
Because again, why would you lie to make it worse?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you lie? If you're gonna lie, you would want everyone to look better.
Right. No, there's no way that Perry went out to the garage, got a wrench, or went and bought a wrench because there were no wrenches available at the house, and waited for Janet and then attacked her with it. No, that didn't happen.
I mean,
A 120-pound woman attacks a 270-pound man, and he feels the need to grab a wrench to defend himself.
he was very scared. He had never been in a fight before. You didn't know. She could say very mean things when she was angry.
No, I believe what they said was the motive was that he was afraid if she left him or made him leave, that his easy lifestyle would be gone because the Levines would no longer contribute to the household. He would not have his job anymore, and he would have to basically fend for himself like an adult.
Like a human being. I'm positive that that's I mean, that it makes a lot of sense.
Mm.
I just. So they move her body allegedly to Kentucky in the car. Where do you think the kids are at this point?
They might still be in Mexico, or maybe hopefully they've.
Well, when they've moved,
living with Arthur, so
so
probably in Tennessee with.
When in the timeline did they move the body allegedly?
It was during that 14 days that she was missing.
Okay, so the kids were.
Because remember, Arthur actually lived in Tennessee for a while. He left for Mexico shortly after Janet disappeared.
Oh, no reason.
Yeah, for no reason. He just
cost
of living.
Yeah, no reason.
Mexico.
Normal. Me Spanish? No, it's fine. I don't need to. Anyway, okay, so I just mean like the kids were probably realistically like with the grandparents at that point.
Yes, they were. When he was arrested for her murder, they automatically transferred. Since Arthur was out of the country, his brother was somewhere across the country, they immediately gave custody to the grandparents, at least on a temporary basis.
Okay. Which somehow makes it even worse that I don't know.
That he was going to have them killed, try to have them killed with his children living there, knowing that their father was in jail for possibly killing their mother. I mean, they're young, but they're not stupid.
Well, right. I mean, and at this point, they're not that young.
No, they're teenagers, at least.
Yeah, they're teenagers. So Arthur says that they went to Kentucky and stayed in a hotel where Perry took a nap because he was tie-tie. And he was very sleepy. And so Perry goes to sleep and lets his extremely elderly father, who owns a Green Beret,
put her in the trunk of a car. And in Arkansas,
I thought it was Kentucky, but
Kentucky. It was Kentucky. My bad.
It was Kentucky, where he finds a huge brush pile that he expects is gonna be burnt soon.
Mm-hmm.
It's so fucking horrible.
And finds 3 holes that have been dug by the crew that's doing it. Puts her clothing in one hole and her in another.
Yep. So he takes the detectives to the place that was, and they don't find anything.
Yeah. But you have to think about how many years. I mean, the way he grabbed the body, it was wrapped in cloth. So it wasn't, the natural process of decay has probably already taken effect.
Right. And also I don't know. The detectives believe Arthur
Yeah.
because even though they don't have a body, they say that his story never changes no matter how many times he's asked about it. He is.
Whereas Perry's has been all over the place.
Whereas Perry's has been as all over the place as his facial hair. So then in August of 2006, like almost 10 years to the day of the disappearance, Perry finally goes to trial for her murder. My note here says he continues to be a giant knob.
And he continues to give interviews and express his innocence, even though he was sentenced to 56 years. Part of that was for attempted murder on the Levines and second-degree murder on his wife because they could never found a body.
Yes, and like it's my understanding that during the trial he was like the worst kind of witness to defend.
Yeah.
Like just the arrogance.
Well, you have to admit, since he was no longer in Mexico working, whatever he did in Mexico, whatever sub-law he practiced in Mexico, his father's now under arrest. The Levines have cut him off, I'm sure, many years prior. So you would have to imagine he's probably down to a public defender by now.
I don't know. I don't
Maybe
know if that's true or not.
He might have had money, squirreled away somewhere, but
yeah,
public defenders are bad lawyers, but I also know people that are public defenders, and they have an astute habit of either wanting to plea things out because they know the majority of their clients are probably guilty.
Yes.
And
it helps you. I mean, you could clear cases faster because they're overworked.
And they don't get paid enough to defend that kind of idiot.
It's the level of idiocy is almost unbelievable. It's almost unbelievable. So like Arthur gets this deal that he's going to do 18 months and then a judge is like, no, no, that's not going to happen.
You buried a dead body.
No, I'm sorry. That's not going to happen. So he gets 5 years, but then dies real soon. Yeah. Like 4 months into his sentence.
He was sick during the trial. He was actually too sick to stand
right, because that was why he had
heart problems, I think.
But like a taped thing. Like they didn't bring him into the courtroom. They taped his statements and played them for the court.
What? He only served 4 months.
In the end, he got even less time.
That's bad.
That's bad. That I don't know why that hurts me a little bit. I don't know why.
This is dark humor, folks.
I know.
Michelle and I are masters of dark humor.
So, since when Perry was found guilty of all this stuff, some of which he is undoubtedly guilty of, some of which he is.
We know he's guilty of trying to kill his.
Yeah. Some of which I'm personally in my heart know that he's guilty of, but we don't really.
We'll probably never know what actually happened.
We'll probably never know what actually.
Unless he finds Jesus, and decides to clear his conscience.
He's Jewish, so.
Well, yeah. I mean, he married into a Jew. And they never said if he was Jewish. I knew the Levines.
Well, so they did mention in the thing that I watched that her family was pretty thrilled that they were getting married.
So he would have had.
He was like a nice Jewish boy.
Okay, cool.
That was.
Okay, so scratch the find Jesus part.
Or, I mean, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe if a nice rabbi talks to him and.
Weird things happen.
If you want to lie in Mount Sinai, you should cleanse yourself.
Sure. Yeah. Anyway, so since then, he has petitioned for a larger jail cell he has petitioned for his kids to be sent back to Mexico to live with his Mexico wife.
Who is, yeah. Let's send them out of the United States back to a developing country
And then
to live with a
also,
single mom now that will have 5 children if they send them back to raise.
well, they
That's
had 4, 5, 6.
6
Didn't we
children.
decide it was 6?
Yeah, 6 children.
Because she had 3, and then they had 1, and then
One,
he had
said-
2.
So
But-
let's let this poor single mom in Mexico raise 6 children, and let's take these kids out of the lap of luxury with their rich grandparents in the United States. Good plan, Terry.
I mean, and at this point, the kids are grown-ups.
They could have said, nope, not going back.
But also, I mean, I think in 2006, I guess they would have been teenagers. But
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, he also, this is the icing, the cherry on top of this True Crime Sunday here, is that he also maybe was planning to escape jail. Now that is speculative and alleged. However, somebody in jail, we'll say a Billy Gibbons type character, alleged that Perry asked him to like help him plot an escape.
At least he was willing to plot something and not just like try to run when he's
Just,
in the
like, do
yard and
it,
climb the fence right in front of the tower guards,
But
which
he
is
was
what
like,
I would expect of him.
I know. He was like, I'm pretty fast at running. You zigzag. You just got to zigzag right on out of there. It's no problem. You do a distraction,
And I'll climb the fence.
and I zigzag out of the. What we do know about that is that someone, an informant in the jail, said it, which I don't know. Listen, I'm not saying that definitely happened, but I'm saying like it matches his previous his previous MO. But also then shortly thereafter, he was in fact moved to a different jail in Wartburg, Tennessee, which just reminded me what great names places in Tennessee have.
Like Soddy Daisy. That's my
Soddy
favorite.
Daisy,
They used to be
Possum Trot, Big Sandy,
Big Sandy. What's it? Buck Snort.
Bucksnort. I've been to both Bucksnort and Possum Trot. Actually.
And we are not making fun of Tennessee. We both are Tennessee
Yes.
native.
Yes.
I mean, Michelle was born in Tennessee. I was born
I
in
was.
but I've lived
Which
here
is
long enough
like,
that I can be a
may as well be Tennessee.
Very few people are actually from Nashville. But
Except for me.
yeah.
I'm the only one.
Very few native Nashvillians.
Very few of us. I like to think that I'm kind of a townie at this point.
Yeah. But I think
I
after
don't
20
like to
years-
think that, but I think it's the case.
I think after 20 years here, I can call myself a Tennessean.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. God. All right. Well, what have we learned?
We have learned that even rich people get caught.
We have learned that money can't buy savvy.
No. And we've learned that just because somebody's rich doesn't mean they're smart.
Yeah.
And we've learned that some people were never meant to be married to decent people.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. I just feel really bad for like her parents and her kids.
And her. I mean,
And her.
I mean, she was
obviously her.
I mean, she had a miserable marriage and then got beaten to death with a wrench, as far as we know.
Ugh,
You know,
what a terrible way to go. And like by someone that you love, that you think loves you,
Yeah. That betrayal, if you think about horrible ways to die, I've always thought that drowning or suffocating would be the worst, but being beaten to death, I think that's right up there.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a real, like, personal.
Yep.
It takes some
Definitely a crime of passion.
deep-seated, horrible anger
Yeah.
for someone to do that to someone
So
else.
I'm willing to believe it was probably a crime of passion, that he was angry that she was about to leave him or put him out, and it just.
Yeah. Having said that, I know people are always like, it was a crime of passion. Like, I don't know that there is, for me personally, a time when I would be like that angry or upset that my passion would lead me to beat the shit out of someone that way.
No, I could definitely be pushed to the brink. I think the only way that my passion would maybe lead me to put my hands on somebody is if someone attacked my wife, my fur babies, my mother-in-law, my mom, my dad. I think I could be persuaded to kill somebody at that point in their defense. But just getting angry at somebody about whatever, I don't think I
Yeah.
could ever get to that
Even if
point.
you were going to lose all your money.
I mean, could be persuaded to punch them in the nose, but I don't think
Well,
that,
sure. I think that's the difference. I don't know.
Yeah.
So like
Kill 'em, no.
we always say like crime of passion as if, I guess I don't really think that people say crime of passion to give people a pass on things, but it seems like such an easy way to dismiss that kind of stuff as like, oh, that's just human nature. And I just don't I don't think that it is. I think you have to be a particular
there are
brand
true
of
crimes,
asshole.
I think that's why they came up with the different derivative called, justifiable homicide, which is mainly people that are self-defense or in the defense of others.
Yeah.
That's, but then everything else, okay, yeah, it may be a crime of passion, but it's still a crime and it's still a murder.
Your passion was bad and wrong.
Yeah, your passion's fucked up at that point.
Your passion sucks.
Yeah.
God. All right. Well, I made myself sad now.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
But I've enjoyed this tremendously. This has been so much fun.
I have too.
So I will have everybody, if you want Michelle to come back, give me a thumbs up on the comments below. I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of them. I'd love to have you back. I'd love to have you back to do another case.
Sounds great. You can choose it.
All right.
You can choose it, and I'll do my research. Did I do too much research? Did I need to just talk?
No, you were perfect. You were perfect. Sometimes I find myself always taking the lead and kind of asking questions. So it was nice to have somebody that had delved into the case as much as I have.
Well,
I could just actually discuss it.
I can't cede control that much, so you're welcome.
Well, I'm beta. At least my wife says I am, so that fit right in with me.
This feels like private talk.
No, just in life. Just in life. Like, I won't walk until she walks. It's just I don't know what it is.
Interesting.
I'll cut this part out.
You don't have to cut anything out. That's fine. You cut out whatever you want.
All right.
Did we do it?
We did. We're good.
Did we do it?
Yeah. That's a wrap.
Wow. That's a wrap.
All right, well, everybody, I'll see you soon again on Keto and Crime and Thought Crime. Thanks for tuning in. If you want to support the podcast or the channel, links are below.